there. Alright. Hey everybody, Fries101Reviews here. Welcome to another behind the scenes video. Today is the first episode behind the scenes video for Season 1 of BIONICLE Wars G2 creation. So without any further delay, let's start off the behind the scenes videos. So the first one here I want to talk about is, of course, the origins and planning. So the origins and planning for the series, it kind of started way back in, I would say, around the summer of 2014, where the leaks of BIONICLE G2 got leaked, and everybody was going crazy about it, and it got me all hyped up for the return of BIONICLE, and yeah, and it kind of just started from there. I started making a whole bunch of characters that would work into the stories for BIONICLE Wars that I would be telling way after Season 4 Part 2, when that was originally in production way back in 2014. But yeah, that's basically that. And then of course, I wanted the story to match the G2 story in a way, like kind of like abridged down, I guess you could say, like after like the first, I guess you could say after Journey to 1 ended. I was like, I just wanted to have I wanted the ending to be different for that show, so that's what I did. Instead of the Tella returning to the stars, they returned to their home, Matanui. So yeah, basically. But yeah, a lot of these characters weren't even ready to be filmed yet, because the scripts for the Chaos Saga arc and the prequel films weren't written yet, and that had to wait until like after I was done with Season 4 Part 2 in 2019. So yeah, when I released off Season 4 Part 2 of BIONICLE Wars, that's when production on basically everything started. The prequel stuff, the sequel stuff, and the series. So yeah. But yeah, I wanted some of the original characters from the G2 sets to appear, like the Protectors, and maybe some of the creatures, and, yeah, but, yeah, basically. So, I guess in a way, that is basically about it for the origins and planning. I guess join me maybe next time, where I'll probably be talking about location scouting. Location scouting is it was just pretty easy and simple, really, for Season 1. It's just that I just found like bunch of locations to use at the park, and I just basically just used those. So yeah, also for Season 1 of the fighting scene, the last scene that was filmed for Episode 1, that was filmed up at Upper Park, up in Monkey Rock, yet again, because I wanted to reuse the same area that was used at the end of Chaos Rises Part 2 when he was looking at the sun, and yeah, so that was basically that for that scene. And then of course for Episode 2, it's like I'm just reusing this locations that I've already used before, like the baseball field, and I found some little areas that was like nearby Sandy Beach, and I just used those locations. I found like a nice log to put Korgot and Vistuna at the beginning of the episode. So yeah, That is basically about it for location scouting, so yeah. Casting people to voice characters is very, very challenging. It's hard for me to find new people nowadays to if they're interested in voicing a character. Like, it was very hard for me to find a voice for Pohatu, Paka, Gali, Onua, Biwa, and Tahu, and of course the Okoten characters, you know, like the Protectors, Narmoto, Basuna, Korgot, Nilku, and Giboda. Yeah, it was just very, very hard, because I had to like reach out to people through Discord if they were interested in multiple servers, if they wanted to voice act for characters. Some would be like, yeah. Some would be, nah. And a lot of people would be like, can you explain to me what the series is about for these characters? Like, yeah, like for the voice of Makuta for episode 1, it was hard for me to figure out whether or not to have either Otto Von Doom to voice him, or Krexa Prime Productions, or even Lord Feyroth. It was very hard, very confusing, and yeah, I tried Krexa Prime, but he just wouldn't. He didn't send me the lines as soon as possible, because I told him I need the lines as soon as possible before 2023. But yeah, we were in production in 2021, so yeah. So then I had to reach out. So then I had to ask Lord Feyroth, Feyroth, who voices. I think he voiced Icarax Ignition 2, and I reached out to him and be like, hey, do you want to like maybe voice G2 Makuta for episode 1? And he's like, yeah, sure. So yeah, I sent him all the lines for him. And for Akimu, it was very hard. It was like I couldn't like figure out if I wanted to have either Bionic Kasai to voice him, or have somebody else voice him. So like, yeah. So I think like since Legomation Studio is like in one of the many servers that I'm on, BioTube servers, I reached out to him, and he was like, yeah, totally, I would be down to voicing Akimu. I was like, okay, cool, I'll send you the first 10 lines for him, and then I'll send you lines 11 through 20. And he was like, okay. And I was like, alright, here you go. For Pohatu, for example, I originally wanted Callan. I tried reaching out to Callan dozens of times. Callan Lord of Fire. And still didn't hear back from him. And, yeah. So, I was like, who am I gonna get to voice Pohatu? Well, behold, Duckbricks was on a server. I basically asked him. I basically asked Duckbricks, who is a big, like, Lego YouTuber, and he's also a BioTuber as well, because he does these fan-in reviews and stuff, and BIONICLE fan-in reviews, and he's also done Lego set reviews, because he's like now, like, he's now a Lego ambassador, which is crazy. But yeah, I reached out to him and be like, hey, you want to voice Pohatu in like a couple episodes? And he's like, yeah, I'll be down. So yeah, I sent him out the lines for those, and yeah. And yeah, let's talk about, since I'm talking about the Toa, let's talk about the actual models themselves. Tahu was a very simple build. I wanted each Toa to have a unique, different build style. So the way like Tahu was built, he uses a Kopaka, he uses a Paraka torso and a metro waist. So yeah, and then I just added like CCBS and other G1 bits to him, and yeah, he was very cool looking. And yeah, for some of them, like Gali and Kopaka, they used some of the CCBS torsos, like the Hero Factory ones and stuff, bone structures, I guess you could say. And Pohatu and Onua, they used the lower torso bits that was used in like some of the beast creatures, like Quake Beast and Storm Beast. And there's like a couple of other sets too, I think, like the Praetorian Guard, I think, from 2017's Star Wars Construction. And yeah, and then Liwa, he just uses a 2016 swivel torso, which I like waist articulation, so yeah. And while we're getting to talking about Liwa, I want to talk about the voice actor. So, for finding people that want to voice Liwa, it was very hard for me to find somebody that would be doing the tree speak type language in the episodes, or in, you know, yeah, in the episodes 1 and 3. And basically, it's hard to tell if he's still doing content now, because I don't know if he's still doing Lego content, but that voice actor that I reached out was D. Tanakuya Studio, who I've been a long time fan of for like years, for like all of his Ninjago content. And I might have watched some of his Chima videos, I think. I can't remember. But yeah, like he did like a whole bunch of original Ninjago series and stuff, seasons. And yeah, I asked him, hey, do you want to voice Liwa? And he's like, yeah. I was like, alright, I'll send you his lines. He doesn't have that many, so it's like, yeah. But yeah. Also, finding a voice for Kolta, that was also pretty hard. Still couldn't decide whether or not to have Bionic Sai voice him or get somebody else. Luckily I reached out to somebody else, Navasis, who I originally thought name was called Nevasis, but it's Navasis. But yeah, I reached out to him and asked him, hey, do you want to voice Kolta? And you could do like voice effects for him and stuff. And he's like, yeah, sure. So yeah, I asked him, I sent him all the lines for the episodes, and yeah, it sounded cool. For the voice of Crystal again, that was very hard, because originally Crystal was voiced by Mario Girl 42, aka MG. I think after Chaos Rises Part 2, I think she asked me, I don't want to voice the character anymore. I was like, okay, I could try to find somebody. I tried finding people. I tried asking Mirashiki. I tried asking a bunch of other people if they were interested. And lo and behold, Vampire World 2006, originally called Gacha World, to voice Crystal. And I was like, alright, cool. And yeah. And then for her sister, Karna, a brand new character to the series that was shown at the very end of the post-credits scene in Chaos Rises Part 2. She didn't have any dialogue yet. Not until like the trailer for Season 1. And then like, yeah, voiced by none other than Purple Poison, aka Anahara, Mika's girlfriend. So yeah, I asked her, and then she's like, yeah. I was like, alright, cool. And I told her I'm gonna add like voice effects for her, so it was like very hard to make it sound very, very cool. And I did that in post, so yeah. Pain in the ass, but at least I got that done. So yeah, I guess with that, that's about it for this little behind the scenes video here. So yeah, I guess, I don't know, I guess we'll just have to find out next time for another behind the scenes video. So yeah. Episode 4 was very interesting. Like, the way I wrote it, because it's like, it takes place after Chaos Rises Part 2 left off, because I wanted to release Chaos Rises Part 2 and have that set up the Bach Wars G2 series, which it kind of did. So yeah, basically, Nelly Rose and Lightgar, they take the ship that the fake Okoto robot Toa used to get to Ma Nui in Chaos Rises Part 2, so they just took that and go to Okoto. And then, yeah. And of course, Crystal and Karna do the same thing. They just follow them to Okoto. So, yeah. So, right. And then, of course, in the episode, starts with Nelly Rose like sleeping, and she's having kind of like a little nightmare, and it's like a little like flashback of scenes where Chaos was destroying half of Ma Nui and stuff. So yeah, and then Lightgar wakes her up and tells her that they made it to Okoto. So yeah. So then of course they go and find the Mask of Creation. So yeah, or find people that know the whereabouts of the Mask of Creation. So yeah, so that's basically it for that. So the whole premise of this little behind the scenes video. So it's basically just where Chaos Rises Part 2 left off. So yeah, the origins of the Titans was something pretty interesting that I kind of went with, because I knew that, like, when BIONICLE was coming back, I kind of thought, what if, like, it had its own great beings or something like that, or elemental lords or something. But yeah, I had countless plans, countless ideas for many of these Titans. The Venus Flytrap was the first one, and that was made way back in 2014, and then a little bit when the G2 sets came out in 2015. Then yeah, same with the Water Titan. That looked like the head part was designed like a anglerfish, and then Fire Titan wasn't made until like 2016 when I got that transparent red Remorac mask. So yeah, the Ice Dragon one was only that's not an actual mock that I made. That's actually the actual Ice Dragon set from the Castle of the Forsaken Emperor set from Ninjago, from Lego Ninjago. So yeah, but that one ain't coming. It won't be appearing until like season 2.
Bruh.
Same with the Fire Titans. So yeah, so yeah, and also right. Oh yeah, the spider one. I forgot about the spider one. Shelob. Originally, the mask was originally going to be the Lord of Skull Spider's face, but then I decided to use the Lord of Skull Spider's face as her chest piece. But for the for the mask that she had, I decided to go with the Core Hunter mask, because that looked more like a spider. But then you got like, hold on a sec. And then you got the gold Brain Attack spider looking kind of mask, which would have also been great, but at the time I just wanted the color scheme to be like Lord of Skull Spiders, black and transparent orange, so yeah. And with that, that's it on the Origins of the Titans. I guess we'll talk about the music and editing. Finding music to use for Bionicle Wars G2 was very hard. I mean, it was just very hard to find, like, good royalty-free music to use. Like, even if it's, like, music from YouTube's audio library, which I have used dozens of times. But I've also used music from the BIONICLE games, so those kind of helped in a way as well as I used music from other games, like Shadow of the Colossus, Ico, and even Last Guardian. And even sometimes a little bit of Five Nights at Freddy's. So, yeah, because it kind of works. And, yeah. And I guess now we'll talk about the editing now. Editing for Bionicle Wars G2 was very hard. It was hard for me to, like, I knew that, like, once an episode is done filming, then comes editing and putting the scenes together, and the lines, and then the music, and yeah, and finding the backgrounds and stuff was pretty hard. Even sometimes find, like, backgrounds that kind of match Okoto in a way, which kind of works out. But yeah, the editing side, yeah, it took, I feel like every scene that I did for all 6 episodes for season 1 took several, like, I guess in a way it takes several hours, and yeah, like 2 to 3 hours at most when it comes to putting together a scene all together. And yeah, and I guess with that's a great way to end it here. So yeah, I guess that's also about it for this little behind the scenes video. I guess maybe I'll probably see you guys. There'll probably be a full season behind the scenes video compilation. So yeah, and also I guess I'll probably see you guys in maybe 2024 with Season 2 of Bionicle Wars G2. So yeah. Anyway, if you guys enjoyed this video, please do this video like it a lot, subscribe to us too. Don't forget to turn on that notification bell so you can stay notified whenever I post a new video. And we're reaching our goal up to 100k subs before 2023 ends. So yeah. Anyway, that's about it. Thank you guys so much for watching my Fries101Reviews. I'll see you guys in the next video. See you guys later. Bye-bye.